Can you possibly envision that in the year 2026, the United States, the world's only superpower, will be defeated by a nation against which it has maintained restrictions for the past 40 years? This is not my assertion, but rather the claim of Professor Sian, whose 2 predictions regarding Trump have already come true, and now we await the third.
America will lose this war that will change everything. The global order.
This is not a common conspiracy theory, but the alarming forecast by Professor Sian, a specialist in game theory, which is gradually becoming fact. Should this be verified, the funds held in your bank account might become mere trash paper within the upcoming 6 months, and the global arrangement could be altered eternally. Within this video, we shall reveal the clandestine narrative mainstream media conceals from you. We will examine how cheap Iranian drones valued at $50,000 could impact America's trillion-dollar forecasts. In the next few minutes, you are about to see an aspect of the truth that the world probably doesn't even suspect. Professor Sian's initial prophecy stated that Donald Trump would secure victory in the election once more, a claim that was entirely validated. The second favorable prediction suggested that a devastating conflict would erupt between the United States and Iran immediately upon Trump assuming authority, which indeed materialized. However, it was his third prophecy, the one that astonished everyone, which posited that the world's foremost superpower, namely America, would suffer a severe defeat in this very war. This is not merely speculation, numerous logical arguments underpin it. In this video today, we will delve into the reasoning behind this specific forecast. We will do a full post-mortem of this third and most dangerous prophecy and understand how a military superpower like Iran could lose to it. Professor John, a great expert in game theory and geopolitical events, has made it absolutely clear in his new interview that America, under no circumstances, is capable of winning this conflict. Let us immediately address the main issue and ascertain Iran's current position. Professor's in-depth analysis reveals that Iran has been preparing for this war for a full 20 years, not merely the preceding 1 or 2 years. Within their Islamic regime, this conflict is viewed as the ultimate battle where they perceive America as the great Satan. Iran acquired substantial experience from the conflict anticipated in June of last year. During that period, their actions were not solely offensive strikes, but rather probing attacks to gauge the capabilities of both America and Israel, identify vulnerabilities in their defense mechanisms, and understand their offensive strategies. They had a complete 8 months to prepare for this new offensive, and throughout this period, they engaged in dialogue with the United States, and it was only about time. They were acquiring things. The most significant point is that Iran is utilizing its proxies to their maximum potential instead of engaging in direct combat. These proxies encompass the Houthis of Yemen, Hezbollah of Lebanon, Hamas from Palestine, and various Shia militant groups from Iraq and Syria are involved. Collectively, these groups have thoroughly understood the American mindset and their methods of warfare effectively. Their strategy now is not merely to eliminate American troops, but their overarching strategy is to devastate the entire American empire and ruin the global economy. Instead of directly confronting America, these people are targeting the countries that are the real strength of America's economy, namely the GCC countries, which include Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain. How dangerous is this strategy of Iran? You can estimate the scale of this by realizing they are not solely targeting military installations with missile strikes, but are also targeting the critical energy infrastructure and water systems of these Arab nations. These nations in the Middle East lack any natural sources of potable water. They utilize the ocean's saline water after processing it through desalination facilities. Over 60% of the water supply for these countries originates from these exact desalination plants. Professor Stein illustrated with a truly terrifying scenario: a small Iranian drone costing perhaps no more than $50,000 if it were to strike and incapacitate a water desalination facility in Riyadh, the city in Saudi Arabia. The drinking supply for that city of 10 million residents would be completely depleted within a mere 2 weeks. Conceive of a whole city facing death by thirst in just 2 weeks. Furthermore, Iran has practically begun to started blocking key sea routes like the Strait of Hormuz, where 90% of food and grain for these Arab nations comes from. Typically, people think this escalation will only lead to slight price hikes and disturb the worldwide economy. But Iran is actually threatening the existence of Saudi Arabia and nations like the UAE. And it is also crucial for you to understand that these Arab countries serve as a backbone for the American economy. The real reason for this is the petrodollar system. These Arab nations sell their oil to the world in dollars, which keeps the demand for the dollar perpetually high. Subsequently, these very nations invest those dollars back into the American stock market and real estate sector. Currently, the entirety of America's economy and the stock market are built upon artificial intelligence. The most substantial investments in these artificial intelligence data centers are made by these Gulf states and Arab countries. Due to this conflict, if these Gulf states, should they fail to sell their oil, their economy will inevitably collapse. Consequently, they will cease further investment in the American AI system. Once this flow of Arab investment halts, the fabricated American AI bubble will entirely deflate, causing the whole US economy to plummet, a situation Professor Stein termed a financial Ponzi scheme. The puzzle then becomes why the world's most advanced and potent American forces cannot contend with these inexpensive drones. The fundamental cause lies in the American military structure and mindset being rooted in the World War II and Cold War periods. Back then, the contest was about flexing power, who owned the priciest, most intricate technology, who landed on the moon first, and who commanded the biggest missiles. America's entire aerial defense framework relies upon such costly and elaborate technology, which is the best, costing billions of dollars to create and run. By contrast, the warfare of the 21st century has completely transformed. This is asymmetric age of warfare where an extremely inexpensive weapon can devastate a very costly system. Recently, a video originating from Israel has astonished the whole world's defense experts, where just a common ballistic missile from Iran was coming towards the ground, and to stop it in the air, America and Israel launched 11 separate interceptor missiles. Nevertheless, they were unable to stop it. The Iranian Shahed drones are completely manufactured within Iran and Russia. This means they do not need to rely on any other nation for their supply chain. The Shahed 136 drone, also called Jiran-2, has proven itself a game changer in modern warfare because of its simplicity and low cost. These drones are equipped with two-stroke piston engines. It is not at all difficult to operate this, it is just sent off after inputting the GPS coordinates. And since they fly at a very low altitude, which offers two benefits. One is that wherever it goes, it spreads fear. And secondly, intercepting it is very hard due to low flying. This drone, only 8 feet wide, can carry up to 40 kilograms of explosive payload. Stopping it with an expensive interceptor is comparable to using a train just to stop a car. The US Defense Minister and Joint Chiefs of Staff told CNN that Iranian drones are creating a bigger problem than expected. And stopping them compared to ballistic missiles is more difficult. This is a very big financial disaster. On one hand, an Iranian cheap drone or missile costs a few $1,000s, while the American interceptor missile to shoot it down costs millions. When you fire a $2 million missile to take down a $50,000 drone, you cannot afford this war for long. Now, America's stock of these expensive missiles is rapidly depleting, and they are having to use their Asian military reserves, which they had kept safe from the fear of China. In reality, this signifies the breaking of that American hubris which has maintained its supremacy across the whole globe for the past 20 years. Should this sequence of events persist, it will result in the demise of the petrodollar, and the globe will swiftly transition toward a multipolar structure, where America's influence over the world will be buried forever. Besides all this, America and Israel are currently only attacking from the air, but history testifies that no nation on earth has ever succeeded in overthrowing the regime of another country using only airstrikes as the means. You always have to deploy ground troops in every situation. According to statements from top American officials and the Secretary of War, America will under no circumstances allow its ground troops to the field in Iran currently. In the coming few months, America will face extremely intense pressure from Arab countries and Israel to send ground forces and eliminate the Iranian threat forever, since the collapse of these countries would also cause the American petrodollar to fail. Therefore, the question now emerges, why did the American President Donald Trump enter such a conflict that the highest military command had previously issued a warning regarding? According to Professor Sine, there are three major reasons behind this foolish decision that forced Trump. The first reason is overconfidence. Trump became overconfident about the capacity of the American military after the small successful operation he conducted recently in Venezuela, exactly like Hitler became confident about Europe. After easily conquering, he attacked the Soviet Union in arrogance, which ultimately led to the destruction of his army. The second reason is political advantage. Even though America itself has no direct gain from this conflict, Trump is personally reaping both political and financial rewards from Saudi Arabia, and Israel are indirectly lobbying for this war. Remember, Saudi Arabia invested $2 billion in Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner's private equity fund. Dollars in a massive investment. Conversely, major financial backers from Israel, like Miriam Adelson, are financing Trump's political career. Undoubtedly, under the United States Constitution, the president is ineligible for a third term. However, Miriam has publicly declared that should Trump contest the election for a third presidential term, she will give him $10 million. It is also conceivable that using the war as a pretext, Donald Trump might extend his term as the wartime president. The professor has clearly explained that by studying the world's historical leaks and the Epstein files, one can grasp that the global order is actually managed by a few clandestine societies. The most renowned of these is the Illuminati, which is further split into three factions. One faction comprises the Jesuits, who govern the Vatican. Another faction consists of the Sabbatean Frankists, who exert control over the power structures of contemporary Israel. The third faction involves the Freemasons, who command the entirety of America's national security and military operations. These secretive and influential groups hold a firm conviction that a massive conflict is destined to erupt in the Middle East during the final era. They deem Israel's participation essential for the realization of their concept of heaven on earth. This is a predetermined spiritual narrative that they adhere to rigorously, irrespective of the logic behind their actions or the resulting global distress. He is only concerned with his final era agenda. This was Professor Stein's third prediction that is coming true after the first two. The essence of all these discussions is merely that America is engaged in a conflict which, even if it manages to win by some stroke of luck, will still be considered a massive loss for the United States. Would be a huge defeat for America.